Hey everyone, this is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch. I'm going to tell you the truth about how great a game that Eagles Bills game was. What a great game. The Bills played really good on the road, came up short, but let me break this game down because people might get on Josh Allen. He made some mistakes. I'm going to tell you the culprit. I'm going to tell you who was the GOAT of the game, and that, I don't mean that in a good way. Um, Buffalo Cook, their running back drops an easy touchdown. They don't get that. They don't get any points. The Eagles come down, take the lead. The Eagles were up 7-zip. Buffalo just came down and they should have had 20 straight points, but they had 17 straight points because Josh Allen and their running game and Murray and Cook, they were going downhill. Josh Allen was running when he was supposed to, smart scrambles, nothing crazy, making great throws on third down. They converted a lot of third down plays, but they missed uh he missed a 30 Bass missed a 38-yard field goal. They could have been up 20 to 7. So you don't get that. Now the Eagles are able to. This is what I like about the Eagles, man. They can be completely out of it. And you give them one opportunity, they come back. And Hurts brings downfield 17-14, uh, 17-14. Now they cut the three. But then Buffalo has a gotta have it money drive. And Josh Allen's able to make a nice run, 16-yard touchdown run, beautiful drive, just balance. It was just spectacular. And the fourth quarter came, and this is where Buffalo, some of the mistakes reared its ugly head. The Eagles drove down, and then Hurts had a great pass to Devontae Smith, who was a Brown was good, but Devontae Smith was great in this game. And we got two number one receivers. That's how you get to the Super Bowl. And then there's a bad interception by Josh Allen, and then the Eagles take advantage of it. Hurts to Zacchaeus, and that was over two defenders in the back of the end zone. That was a great pass by Hurts, and they're leading. And Buffalo gets stopped, and this is the third week in a row I didn't like the play calling by Sinceri because they had the last two games they had two opportunities to run the clock out or the clock down low, get some first downs, put the game away. You grab up the lead, and he didn't do it. He tried to throw a bomb stiff, just a regular 7-yard pass, and keep the chains moving. And Buffalo might not even get the ball back. It was 7-15 the way the Eagles were moving. And Swift, the way Swift was running, Swift is a clutch runner. He'll get you 20, 30 yards when you need it. If he doesn't get you 100, that's what I like about him. But then Buffalo got the ball back. And when I saw them driving, the Eagles were tired. They couldn't stop them. And they drove right down the field. So as they drive down the field, I'm looking at the clock. And Sincere did a good job of using his timeouts when Buffalo got to the 9-yard line. And you knew they were going to score. So now it's 31-28. Oh, okay. One timeout, 152 left. Hurts. I'm good with that. He can get me a touchdown at that. And they drove down the field, and Kelsey, of all people, with the two bad penalties, pushed him back. A 59-yard field goal, and Elliott's you want to talk about money kicker? He's as money kicker as you get. He had one bad miss this year when they lost to the Jets. That was the same game that Hurts had a bad pick in the fourth quarter, which never happens. So we're going to overtime. I said, Eagles going to win this. But then Buffalo gets the ball. I said, well, Eagles get stopped. They're going to win this. Eagles couldn't stop them. Buffalo's driving down the field. And this was big. On 2nd and 10, Josh Allen rushes. And the defender was able to get him out of bounds without him getting the first down. And Allen is an incomplete pass on 3rd and 7. It's an all-out blitz. It's a touchdown. But I'm not going to blame Allen. When you have an all-out blitz, to me as a receiver, you got to look back quicker. Even if there's a design run, you're going to fade to the back of the end zone like you're supposed to. I'm going to look see where Josh Allen, because if Josh Allen has time, of course you run the play. But if he doesn't, just locate him quickly. Maybe you make that side adjustment and catch that ball and you win the game. And they didn't do it. I said, I know Hurts. And Hurts took him all the way down the field. Smith, one play after the next, getting wide open in their zone. And then Hurts runs for the 12-yard touchdown, and that's it. That's game. And they were kind of lucky, but they're very good. They've had some games where they've come from behind. They've had 4 come from behind wins this year, down double digits. That is tied for the all-time record. There's only 3 teams that's ever done it. And I trust Jalen Hurts. He's not going to put the wow stats up. 18-31, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had the one bad pick that led to a touchdown late. Late in the half, but you don't see that in the fourth quarter. And Swift gave you 80 yards, and then Gainwell gave you a nice run. And Hurts runs the ball pretty good. Smith has 7 receptions for 106 yards, and Brown with 5. So offensively, there's still level they can get to. Dallas Goedert comes, and then you get Gainwell a touch here and there with Swift. And then Hurts is starting to run a little bit more because the knee is feeling better. And then you get Lance Johnson coming back that you need. So now you have more pass protection. The Eagles' offense will be better. My concern is they have to get healthy on defense. Fletcher Cox can't be hurt because he's a good run stopper. He's out there. He was going and they ran all over. They ran. I didn't like how Pacheco ran on him. I didn't like how the Buffalo Bills rushing attack. I understand Allen. It's hard to stop him. But Cook and Murray ran well. The secondary gets burned a little bit sometimes. They just give up chunks of yardage late in games. They've gotten away with wins. But the Eagles' offense, now you can't play this against 49ers. 49ers will kill you. The only problem with the 49ers is Shanahan is 0-35 when behind the fourth quarter. I'm going to double check that stat. That's a bad look. But that lets you know that's a bully team. I'm also going to say in the most affectionate way, because sometimes you say that as a mean way, but no. They bully you because their starting lineup on both offense and defense. They're not super deep, but their starting lineup has a galaxy stars. Nobody has a better lineup on both sides. But Talfunga not being there could cost them in the long run. He's one of the best safeties in all of football. He's gone for the season. Just like the Diggs injury to Dallas, that could rear its ugly head late when the playoffs start. But you got Young and Bosa coming downhill, and this game is going to be interesting this week. I'm going to tell you why. Everybody in the world is going to pick the 49ers. Eagles haven't played good. They got lucky. And that's going to work well with sincerity in that locker room. He's like, listen, they don't respect us. They have no respect for us. We're an underdog at our home field. We blew them out last year, even though their quarterback got hurt. We blew them out. They talked a lot of junk about if he was healthy there to beat him. He could use that as serious motivation. And they're saying that the Cowboys and Niners are the favorites, and they're the darlings of the media. And nobody thinks we're good because we don't blow teams out. Let's show them today. I do think this. I could be wrong. I think you get the Eagles' best A-plus game, being an underdog, chip on your shoulder type of game against the 49ers. And the 49ers are going to definitely come to play. They have to. They can't play like this against the 49ers. 49ers will crush them. The 49ers are built to blow you out. The 49ers are built with McCaffrey and Debo. And once you can't stop that running game now, Shanahan plays with your eyes with play fakes and reverses and ball reverses, play action passes. Debo might even pass out the ball out of the backfield. He starts to mess with you once he gets the lead, and they're going downhill, and they're beating you up. And now they can get after you on the passing lane. You can't run the ball, and now they're just bludgeoning you like they did the Seahawks on Thanksgiving. That's what they want to do. Now, if this is a dogfight and this is a money game, now Purdy is good under pressure, but the ultimate guy who's 27-2 his last 29 games is Jalen Hurts. So I believe in him more. After the Eagles Buffalo game, you had some compelling matchups. The Jaguars Texas was the best. That was a back and forth affair with Stroud and Lawrence, young studs matching each other score for score. I thought when the Jaguars should have just kicked a field goal, they didn't get a field goal, and at 13-7 could have went up 67. That was bad momentumly from a momentum standpoint. And Texas come right back at home, Stroud, 1 yard touchdown run. Jacksonville showed me something. And I got to honor Jacksonville after losing to the Niners, but they showed me something with a drive where they go up 21-14, 2-point conversion, and then they go up 10, and here come the Texans coming right back, and then Stroud's got the ball. They don't convert. And now you give Stroud the ball in the fourth quarter. Uh-oh. But I'm gonna tell you something. What was big? Josh Allen wreaked havoc in the backfield. I think he realized if Stroud has time, we're going to get beaten. We're not going to win the division. And he made plays, and the kicker just barely missed a long kick. And Jacksonville is in that won the division for the Jacksonville. Now the Texans are going to battle and try to make a wild card. Pittsburgh won, so they're moved up to the 5 seed against a Bengals team without Burrow, and the Browns are going to lose. They're going to go through a losing streak because they went to a rookie quarterback who's okay, but I think they're going to struggle from here on out. I think Houston's going to beat them at Houston on Christmas Eve. Houston, they might lose to Denver. Denver's on fire. Houston-Denver game's an elimination game. If Denver wins, Denver's going to be waiting. Denver, and I'll say it's about Buffalo. Buffalo played really good. I don't think they're going to beat Kansas City, but even if they don't, if they beat Dallas at home and they win out, and if they lose to Dallas, if they lose to Kansas City and Miami, there's going to be such a logjam for that last spot. They still have a chance if they win out and take care of business the rest of the way. Now, obviously, you want to win against the Chiefs or the Dolphins on the road, but they got a chance. Houston, they got a red hot Denver team at the Jets. The Jets could be a pain in the neck because of their defense, but that could be an interesting game, road game. They should win against Tennessee, but Tennessee could split because they got them twice. And Indianapolis was playing really good. I'm trying to get Jonathan Taylor. Even his mom asked about getting her son on my show, so I'm trying to get him. Indianapolis has crept into the wild card, even though Minshew plays good, but he throws a lot of picks. But he's a good leader. But that's going to be interesting. The only thing that helps Pittsburgh if they play two lousy teams. If they win both of those games, if they lose one of them, they're not going to make the playoffs. If they win both of those games, that could keep them afloat because of the fact that you got Indianapolis and Seattle on the road and Baltimore. Squeeze them with an easy Cincinnati game. So if they win, say for instance, they win the games they're supposed to, the 3 home games. What they have to do, they probably need to get to 11, but 10, if they win those games, they might make it. But Indianapolis and Pittsburgh is going to be interesting. I think Cleveland's going to go backwards. They got at the Rams. I think the Rams are going to win. Jacksonville home. I think Jacksonville wins. There should be Chicago. They're going to lose at Houston. The Jets is a toss up, and Cincinnati is a toss up. So those Cleveland, Indianapolis, Houston, Denver, Buffalo. I don't think Cincinnati. I think Buffalo, Denver, Houston, Indianapolis, Cleveland are going to be fighting for 3 spots. If Pittsburgh, like I said, they win their home games and then maybe steal one of the road games, they'll be okay. But if they win their home games, they might squeak in. That was a big win. Taking care of Cincinnati, and with a decent offensive coordinator. Now that they don't have that high school offensive coordinator, they got an actual chance to make the playoffs. Baltimore beat the Chargers. It was a really bad call when the beginning of the game where Herbert got bashed 3 yards out of bounds and they didn't call roughing the passer, which would have gave a touchdown, a field goal, which makes the game very close toward the end. And the referee stood there and watched, and he didn't throw a flag. And then they called a 15-yard penalty on the retaliation. It was suspiciously bad. But the Chargers are the Chargers. So Baltimore took care of business. I think Kansas City they beat Oakland. They found Rice. I love the way Kansas City won that game yesterday because you got Pacheco's hard running, and then Rice is the guy. They finally found a dude, Rashee Rice, big, strong dude, great touchdown run. I mean, after catch, great. Love. They found that. That's why I'm more tempted to just still believe they're going to go to the Super Bowl because they can win in Baltimore. Baltimore, I'm not putting them in the Super Bowl. I know people are going gaga, but I like Kansas City. Now, if Miami gets home field advantage, they win their games. They win Buffalo and Dallas, the tough games they got. If they get home field advantage, and they could go to the Super Bowl just because of the fact that South Beach in the wintertime, when it's 80 degrees, you haven't been in the heat. That's an advantage. Just like if you're playing in Buffalo, it's a good advantage, but teams play in the cold and they play in a dome, but they don't play in that kind of heat. That's different. So if they ever I do believe they're going to win the division. I don't know where they're going to be as far as home field. They're 6-2 conference record, but Kansas City got them head to head, and Kansas City got 6-1 conference record. So they automatically going to beat out Baltimore. I think Kansas City and Miami get the 1 and 2 seed. Jacksonville, let me look at Jacksonville's schedule. Jacksonville's got Baltimore coming up. Jacksonville-Baltimore is going to be on a Sunday night. If Jacksonville beats Baltimore, they'll probably move up to the 2 or 3, and Baltimore will be the 4. I think Baltimore's going to lose to Jacksonville. They're going to lose to the Niners on the road. And they should still win the division. They'll probably be head-to-head with Pittsburgh for the division. They probably should win that at home, and they'll be the 4. And I'd be interested in who they play. But that's the AFC right there. I like Kansas City still because they developed Rice now. That's what Mahomes needed. I like Miami if they get home field. Anytime Miami plays at home in the playoffs, I'm going to pick them. Now, I'm praying for a Miami-Kansas City AFC Championship game in Arrowhead with Tyreek Hill there and the fans booing the heck out of him and Taylor Swift and just all that almost circus-like atmosphere. I'm hoping for that. All right, the biggest game of the day was in college football's Michigan, Ohio State. And I told you it was going to be a dogfight. And it was. Michigan jumped out to a 14-3 lead. It was supposedly a controversial touchdown. Roman Wilson was a touchdown. Roman Wilson caught it. 2 steps in the end zone, touchdown. Okay. Much to the chagrin of the Ohio State coach who's begging, please. But Ohio State came back. They found themselves, and Kyle McCord had a very good game. And they ran the ball and they passed the ball, but they passed the ball well. and it set up the running in the second half, which they ran the ball well in the second half. And they ended up having a nice little balanced drive. Emeka Ikbuga, Egbuka, who had a good game. I don't know if I pronounced it right, but he did have Marvin Harrison, of course, had a great game. Marvin Harrison shouldn't be in college football. That's how good he is. He's a professional athlete playing college football. But his cohort was really good. That was a nice little balanced attack they had. So now they cut to 4. And Michigan can't do anything with it. And this is where, once again, Ohio State's too conservative. And they go down and they get to the Michigan 41-yard line with 45 seconds left. You got to be super aggressive here. I'm getting as close as I can. I'm going for either a score or I'm going to make it 14-13. I'm one score back. And you know how I feel about field goal kickers. It was a 52-yard kick, so he missed that. I don't trust kickers no matter what, unless it's like 20 yards in. So they have full momentum. They blew that. But Michigan was able to get down the field, and I thought I wasn't crazy about the play calling toward the Ohio State. Like when they got to Ohio State 35, they needed a touchdown to go up 2 scores because I just sensed that Ohio State really was comfortable against Michigan's defense, and Michigan's defense couldn't stop Ohio State. And the next drive, Ohio State ran the ball down their throat. I mean, I'll give you an example. Travion Henderson was really running well in this. Now, they scored. Travion Henderson scores, so they tie the score up. Okay, Michigan got to have a touchdown drive, and they do. McCarthy was a big 15-yard run that got them close, and then he was able to pass the ball to A.J. Barner, and then a 22-yard touchdown run by Blake Corum. Big time run. All right. So they actually stopped Ohio State, which they haven't. And it was a big play where David Edwards throws the ball to Colson Loveland. And he's a running back. If that ball's on the money, he probably would have scored, but he didn't. And they had to settle for a field goal. That was the time that you got to go up 2 scores to Ohio State to make sure Ohio State has to play pass. You could pin your ears back, double cover Harrison, and play coverage and get after McCord. But it left the door open where they can run the ball. I'm telling you, they ran that ball directly down Michigan's throat, all the way down the field. And the most telltale sign, 3rd and 8, you always pass. With 9:38 in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 8, you're Ohio State, you're down 10. You got to pass the ball. You're thinking. They ran Xavier Johnson up the middle, which normally you would want to stop and then force it to 4th down. He got 9 yards for the first down. I was like, wow, Michigan, that's not good. And they scored. Marvin Harrison, 14-yard touchdown, 3-point game. If Ohio State gets the ball back, they're going to play in the playoffs. They're going to win this game. And Ryan Day was going to act like a jerk. He was hoping to do that so he could have his jerk moment like he did in Notre Dame. But it wasn't meant to be because Michigan ran the ball down Ohio State's throat. Blake Corum just took the game over. 14-yard runs. And Edwards had a 6-yard run. And they just ran the ball all the way down to Ohio State 19. It's 3rd and 6. I would have ran a pass option with JJ McCarthy. You run. If nobody's wide open, you run. And if you don't get it, we'll kick the field goal. But they didn't do that. They ran Corum. They knew I was coming for 2 yards. I didn't like that because you left the back door open. You left the back door open. And they kicked the field goal. It's a 6-point game with 1:10 left. I don't care. With 1:10 left, the way McCord and Ohio State's offense was moving, they were very lucky that Xavier Johnson returned the kickoff instead of having a touchback where you had a little more yardage. But they're back in the 19. They drive all the way down the field. No problem. 22-yard gain to Fleming. And But McCourt was interception, bad throw to Rob Moore, intercepted, got a big interception because that was big. And Michigan moves on. And through all the turmoil, without their coach, they're going to have Harbaugh next week. They're going to whoop Iowa in their Big Ten championship, and they're going to be in the playoffs. They haven't found anything in this scandal as far as the scandal of that Michigan's dealing with. So they're on. They're going to make it. So the winner in Washington barely beat Washington State. I did not like how Penix plays, throwing the ball wild high, too low. I mean, his quarterback rating was solid, but numbers don't tell you everything. I mean, he was 18 of 33, 204 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a bad interception, 120 QBR rate, and I'm throwing it out the window. I didn't like how he played. Until the end. And he did have that one drive that led to a field goal, and they're going to be in the playoffs against an Oregon team that's on fire. I believe they're going to beat Washington. It's a neutral site. They're going to take care of Washington. I believe they're going to get in. Michigan's going to get in. The winner of Georgia, Alabama will get in, even if it's Alabama. I heard some comments from the Auburn fans. Hey, we played them tough. We should be proud. No. That was one of the worst losses I've ever seen. They outplayed Alabama most of the game. Ohio State kind of slightly outplayed Michigan, but lost. But they were on the road, and Michigan showed you who Michigan was late. Got it. But Auburn was outplaying a very sloppy Alabama team. They have the lead. They fumble the punt. It's just like, it was just, that was so ridiculous because they had Auburn stopped. Auburn's frustrated. They're punting the ball back. And it was not meant to be. After the Coy Moore fumble, there's 4:54 left, and Alabama's driving. They're barely getting where they have to get. They finally get the 1st and goal, and then they're going backwards. 18-yard loss on a player fumbled, a penalty after that, illegal forward pass penalty where Milroe didn't even know where the line of scrimmage was. I'm like, okay, wow, this is once again Auburn plays over their heads and clips Alabama and Auburn. Auburn never wins at Alabama other than Cam Newton game. They don't even show up in Alabama. But man, when Alabama is going to Auburn, it's always a rough way to go, and this was no different. But this is a game, Auburn. I said, well, Alabama's going to lose. Even if they beat Georgia, I don't know how they get in. And Jalen Milroe finds out Isaiah Bond for a 31-yard touchdown. Out of rush 4, so that way you have to put some pressure on Milroe. Number 2, you can't let the receiver get behind you. It looked like it was man coverage. That looked like the dumbest defensive call I've ever seen. Dumber than when they had Georgia beat Auburn, and the last drive, they allowed Brock Bowers to get open the whole way down the field with 0 adjustments. Hugh Freeze is going to have to get either another defensive coordinator or they're going to have to tighten up next year. They look like they could actually develop because he's a good recruiter, but man, that was terrible. I don't care what the Auburn fans say. And I have an Auburn friend who's an Auburn alum, big Auburn guy, Matt Lowe. I was going to text him say, congratulations. I got to wait a week to even reach out to him because I know he's competitive. He's not like the fans that are saying, oh, well, we'll get them next year. We're building something here. You probably are, but you can't. You can't lose that game. Are you kidding me? 4th and goal at the 31-yard line, you lose that game? Man, that was a bad loss. That's one of the worst losses I've ever seen in my life. But Alabama will get in if they beat Georgia. Florida State barely beat Florida. I think Louisville's going to beat Florida State. I think that's not going to be hard. I think it's going to be Alabama, Oregon, Washington winner, Alabama, Georgia, because Georgia's still Georgia. Georgia, I may even lean toward Georgia, but the Alabama, Georgia winner is getting in. The Oregon, Washington winner is getting in. Michigan's in. If Texas wins, they're in, and that's it. That's it. There's no one, no, okay, you lost your conference game, you still get in. You're gone. If Texas loses and Alabama beats Georgia, maybe Georgia gets in. It's a 4. Maybe. But they might not. Say, for instance, Oregon beats Washington on the last second field goal, and Georgia gets beat by Alabama. Georgia might not get in. They might put Washington and Oregon in because the Pac-12 is a better conference.